I never thought a normal Friday shift would change my entire life. I was just doing my job, serving tables like I always do. Then he walked in, Samuel L. Jackson. But that wasn't the miracle. The miracle was what happened when he left. Jessica was a 28-year-old waitress working at Bayside Bistro, a small but welcoming restaurant tucked into a busy Oakland neighborhood. The place thrived on its reputation for authentic California cuisine. Clam chowder served in sourdough bowls, fish tacos, and locally roasted coffee. Jessica dedicated herself to her work with a smile always on her face, yet inside her life was far from easy. As a single mother, she faced a tremendous challenge. Her 6-year-old son, Tyler, had been hospitalized with a congenital heart defect that required urgent and very expensive surgery. Jessica's wages barely covered their daily expenses, and the medical bills kept mounting. Despite everything, she kept her faith and worked hard, hoping for a miracle. Her morning had started like any other, setting tables, restocking napkins, and greeting the steady stream of customers. The midday lunch rush roared to life, and Jessica juggled plates and orders as trays clattered and cash registers rang. By 1 p.m., the dining room was full, and Jessica sprinted between tables, offering warm bread baskets and refilling water glasses. Her manager, Mr. Thompson, knew about her situation. He often caught her glancing at her phone, eyes brimming with worry when hospital updates came in. Yet he never lectured her. He simply nodded with quiet empathy. Then around 1:30 p.m., a hush rippled through the restaurant. A few diners glanced toward the entrance and did a double take. Jessica glanced up and saw him, Samuel L. Jackson, dressed casually in dark jeans, a black leather jacket, and his signature sunglasses, despite being indoors. He was flanked by 2 companions, one holding a script, the other clicking a smartphone camera. Samuel walked to a corner booth, scanning the menu with a thoughtful expression. The entire restaurant seemed to pause for a moment. Jackson was an icon, known for powerhouse roles in movies like Pulp Fiction, Avengers, and Django Unchained. Seeing a celebrity of such stature in a simple eatery was astonishing. Still, Jessica forced herself to stay composed. She tucked her hair behind her ears, took a deep breath, and tightened her apron as she approached their table. "Good afternoon," she said, her voice steady. "Welcome to Bayside Bistro. My name is Jessica, and I'll be taking care of you today. May I start you off with something to drink?" Samuel looked up, those unmistakable eyes behind his shades meeting hers. He slipped off the glasses, revealing an intense but warm gaze. "Water for now," he replied in that unmistakable baritone. "I'll take the house iced tea too, and for my friends, just waters." "Absolutely," Jessica said, suppressing the flutter in her chest. As she turned to walk away, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the window, pale but determined, with dark circles beneath her eyes from too many hospital nights. She shook off the thought and focused on her tables. As she brought iced teas and waters, the lunch service continued in a blur. Jackson and his companions chatted quietly, occasionally glancing over menus. Jessica took their orders, fish and chips for one, the seasonal clam chowder for another, and a grilled salmon salad for Samuel. Despite the buzz of customers capturing photos with their phones, she served Jackson's table with the same care she gave everyone else, making sure their beverages stayed full and their utensils were clean. At some point, Jackson caught her eye and beckoned her closer. Heart pounding, she set down his iced tea. "Miss," he said, his voice low, "everything has been exceptional so far. I was wondering, what do you recommend for dessert?" Jessica smiled. As she'd done countless times, she highlighted the house-made treats, the berry cobbler with vanilla bean ice cream, the salted caramel creme brulee, and the chocolate lava cake. Jackson nodded and ordered 4 portions of the berry cobbler. "Excellent choice," she said, turning to fetch the desserts. Her mind raced with disbelief. Samuel L. Jackson, of all people, enjoying simple berry cobbler in her small restaurant. When she returned, customers were still craning their necks, whispering, phones hidden under tables. Jackson and his friends devoured the cobbler, their faces lighting up with each bite. After they finished, Jackson asked for the check. Jessica brought it swiftly, then excused herself to refill water bottles at the counter. A few minutes later, Jackson and his companions rose to leave. Jessica approached their table, clearing the plates. As she did, she noticed a folded note perched beside the bill. Curious, she picked it up, her fingers trembling slightly. The note read, "Thank you for the wonderful service. God bless you and your family." Her eyes darted down to the check. She knew the total for 4 lunches and 4 cobblers. But when she counted the money Jackson had left, her breath caught. The tip was enough, more than enough, to cover Tyler's surgery. Tears coursed down her cheeks as she clutched the note to her chest. "Mr. Thompson," she called out, her voice shaking as she ran toward him behind the counter. "Samuel L. Jackson, he left this for me." Mr. Thompson rushed over, concern etched on his face. "Walk away from the counter and take a breath," he said gently, placing a hand on Jessica's shoulder. "Tell me what happened." Between sobs, she tried to explain. Words tumbled out. He said the service was wonderful. He left this note and that tip. "Mr. Thompson, it's enough for Tyler's operation." Mr. Thompson's eyes widened. He exchanged glances with another server, then closed his eyes and exhaled. This is incredible. You didn't know it was coming?" She shook her head. "I had no idea. Her voice cracked. She took a step forward, and out the window she saw Jackson slipping into a sleek black SUV. She rushed to the door, heart pounding. "Samuel!" she called out, voice cracking under the weight of emotion. The SUV paused as Jackson turned his head, acknowledging her. She shouted, "Thank you! Thank you so much! You saved my son!" Jackson smiled, raised his hand in a simple peace and love gesture, and the SUV rolled away. Jessica returned to the restaurant, tears still flowing. Customers and coworkers gathered around, some clapping, some crying with horror. "He actually did it," one customer whispered. "He really left that much." Amber, a hostess who'd been watching from a corner, crossed her arms and rolled her eyes. "Seriously?" she muttered to a coworker. "He didn't even look at me, but Jessica, she gets a jackpot. Must be nice." At that moment, Mr. Thompson guided Amber aside. "Hey, can we talk?" he said quietly. But Amber shrugged him off. "I'm just saying it's not fair," she snapped. "I work just as hard, but I guess you get nothing if you don't have a sob story to sell." Jessica, overhearing only the last part, turned slowly and met Amber's glare. "Amber, please," she said softly, though her voice was firm. "It wasn't a show or a sob story. It was an act of kindness. He didn't know me. He just saw me doing my job. And that tip means my son can get the surgery he desperately needs." Amber sighed, exasperated. "I just think, why her? Why not me?" A customer stood up from a nearby table holding his coffee cup. "Enough, Amber," he said. "You're making her pain about you. This was about someone helping another human being. It wasn't about competition." Amber's cheeks flushed as she looked at the crowd's disapproving faces. "Fine," she muttered, and retreated to the back of the restaurant. Jessica turned to Mr. Thompson, her voice trembling. "I need to go to the hospital now. How do I—" She clutched the envelope with the money inside. "Go," he said, pressing a hand to her back. "Your son needs you. We'll cover your section here. Just go." She nodded, barely able to speak. Staff waved and offered their condolences and well wishes as she hurried out the door, the envelope feeling impossibly heavy in her apron pocket. At the hospital, Jessica's heart hammered in her chest as she approached the reception desk. She took a steadying breath. "Good afternoon," she said, voice quieter than she intended. "I'm here to pay for my son, Tyler Wilson's surgery." The receptionist, a petite woman with kind eyes, typed furiously and nodded. "The surgery is scheduled for next week," she said. "The total is $15,000. Jessica reached into her apron pocket and laid several envelopes of money on the counter, enough to cover the entire cost. The receptionist's eyes widened and she pressed a button on her phone. "You're paying in cash?" she asked, astonished. "Yes," Jessica replied, tears welling again. Somebody left this for me." A few minutes later, Dr. Mitchell, Tyler's cardiothoracic surgeon, appeared at the desk. He was known for his calm demeanor and steady assurance. "Mrs. Wilson?" he asked, eyes bright when he saw her. "I just got word. Your payment's complete. We'll prep Tyler for surgery at dawn." Jessica dropped to her knees. "Thank you," she sobbed. "You're giving me back my son." "Thank you." Dr. Mitchell placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "He's a strong little boy. We'll take good care of him. You just rest." That night, Jessica sat beside Tyler's hospital bed, clutching the note Samuel L. Jackson had left. Tyler was playing quietly with a small toy car a nurse had given him. "Mom," he asked, looking up, "did everything work out?" She leaned forward, smoothing the hair off his forehead. "Yes, baby. Tomorrow morning they're going to fix your heart. Then we'll go home together." Tyler's eyes sparkled with a child's faith. "I trust you, Mom." She kissed him on the forehead. "I love you. Sleep now." As she curled up in a plastic chair beside his bed, sleep felt elusive. She stared at the note. "Thank you for the wonderful service. God bless you and your family." It was more than words on a scrap of paper. It was life itself. The next morning, Dr. Mitchell emerged from the operating room, his scrub blood-spattered, but his face lit with a triumphant smile. "Jessica," he called. When she hurried toward him, he said, "The surgery was a success. Tyler's doing great. You can see him in recovery." Relief crashed over her so fiercely she cried aloud. "Thank you," she whispered over and over. In recovery, she found Tyler groggy but smiling when he saw her. "Mom," he croaked, reaching for her hand. She squeezed his little fingers. "Hi, sweetheart. You did it. You're going to be okay." He tried to grin, eyelids heavy, and she brushed a tear from his cheek. "I love you," he murmured. She pressed her forehead to his. "I love you more." Word of Jackson's generosity spread quickly. Social media lit up after a customer shared a video and photos of the moment he left the note. Samuel L. Jackson leaves hometown waitress enough to save her son. The story went viral, and headlines proclaimed, "From Pulp Fiction to real-life hero, Samuel L. Jackson's heartwarming act of kindness." Local news anchors praised Jessica's faith and courage, while replication of Jackson's social post. "Met a wonderful woman named Jessica. Her dedication to her son reminded me that we all need to serve others. You never know whose life you might change." Littered timelines across the country. Back at Bayside Bistro, business boomed. Customers came just to glimpse the place where it happened. Mr. Thompson greeted them at the door with a proud smile. Amber, realizing the magnitude of what took place, approached Jessica one evening as the dinner rush died down. "Jessica," she said quietly, "I'm sorry I said those things. I didn't understand. I see now. You deserve every bit of that blessing." Jessica reached out and squeezed her arm. "Thank you. I know you're just human, but please, let's move forward." Amber nodded, eyes glistening. "Yes, let's." A few days after Tyler's surgery, Jessica received an unexpected call. "Hello, is this Mrs. Wilson?" said a voice on the phone that sounded professional yet warm. "This is Marcus from Mr. Jackson's agency." Jessica held her breath. "He asked me to get in touch," Marcus continued. "He was very moved by your story and wants to help make sure Tyler has a healthy future. He's arranged to cover all of Tyler's future medical expenses, and he's also setting up a small fund to give you some financial stability for the rest of the year." Jessica's knees buckled. Thank you," she managed to choke out. "I don't know what to say." "Just know that Mr. Jackson believes faith and kindness matter most," Marcus said. "He wished us to convey his prayers for you and Tyler." That weekend, Jackson shared a post on his social media, writing, "I met an incredible woman named Jessica in a small restaurant in Oakland. She served me without ever knowing who I was, and her love for her son moved me. Never underestimate the power of kindness. If you have the chance to help someone, do it. Small gestures can change lives." The post went viral, drawing even more attention to Jessica's story. Donations poured in. A local crowdfunding page set up by a restaurant regular exceeded its goal in hours. Strangers offered to help with housing, childcare, and transportation. News outlets aired feature segments on single parents overcoming adversity, using Jessica's story as a beacon of hope. Back at the hospital, Tyler recovered rapidly. Each day, he grew stronger, laughing, asking for snacks, and eagerly awaiting the day he could return to preschool. One afternoon, as Jessica sat beside him reading a story, he looked up at her. "Mom, can I go play soon?" She smiled, stroking his hair. "Very soon, baby, very soon." Leaning against the crisp white wall, she felt a peace she hadn't known in months. She still carried Jackson's note in her purse, tattered at the edges but priceless. She read it once more. "Thank you for the wonderful service. God bless you and your family." And she whispered a prayer of gratitude. For Jessica, Samuel L. Jackson's gesture was more than financial help. It was proof that kindness still existed in the world. A simple lunch had completely changed the course of her life. She thought back to the moment Jackson had walked in, a Hollywood legend in a small beach town restaurant, treated like any other customer. He saw her as a single mother with a heart full of love, not as just a waitress. And in doing so, he gave her hope. That night, as she tucked Tyler into bed, she flashed the note to him. "See this?" she said. "This is a promise from a stranger that love can arrive when you least expect it." He reached out to touch her cheek. "I love you, Mom." She kissed his forehead. "I love you more, my sweet boy. And now we have a future to look forward to." In the quiet of the hospital room, with machines softly beeping and Tyler's steady breathing at her side, Jessica knew one thing for certain. Life's greatest miracles often come from unexpected places. Sometimes they're sitting right there at your table. And if you have the chance to transform someone's life, you do it. Because kindness, once given, has a way of changing everything.